Today we'll talk about deep fakes. I am a senior security researcher and I am specializing in AI security. But just as a disclaimer, today I'm not representing my employer. All this research is just research I've done on my own. I'm also an adjunct professor and I teach AI and machine learning. I have a doctoral degree in cybersecurity analytics, and my research for my doctoral degree focused on basically attacking AI and machine learning and trying to break it, and then looking at how it responds when it's attacked. So I'm actually the founder and CEO of a company called Alora Tech. So that's what I'm representing today. At Alora Tech, my goal is to demystify technology for everyone. If you're interested in any training or consulting services, feel free to contact me. So that's my email on the slide. And you can also contact me on LinkedIn. My QR code here, it is to my LinkedIn profile. So either way, email or LinkedIn works. So now I can't see people in the room, but just if you're joining virtually, let me know in the chat. How many of you have already heard about deepfakes? So I do see, a few reactions. Yeah. So deepfakes are a prevalent risk across countries. So in the US, we have the elections coming up. We know there are disinformation campaigns out there trying to manipulate public opinion on things. Deepfakes are basically when we try to use AI to do something that it shouldn't do, whether it's using AI to generate synthetic images, video, or you could even use AI to generate synthetic voice and text. So all this synthetic content is called a deepfake. Generally, we see deepfakes might be manipulating public opinion using celebrities or politicians, someone who's high profile, for example, Elon Musk, Trump, Taylor Swift, and they've often been the target of deepfakes. Here on the slide, you'll see I have an image of Tom Hanks. So a few months ago, he came out with this announcement that there were people using his image to promote a wonder drug, even though it wasn't really him in the ad. Now, the challenge with these deep fakes is as the technology is improving, it's actually not as easy to detect it. So for Tom Hanks, it was very clear that it was a fake ad because he was much younger than he is right now. But now the technology is getting so much more advanced, and we can actually change the appearance of someone not only in a static image, but we can change the appearance of someone dynamically during a video call. However, just deepfakes are not just for negative purposes, they're also used for positive purposes like special effects. But of course, because we're at Wild West Hacking Fest, I'm focusing on using deepfakes for hacking or for the negative effects. So deepfakes are actually from an older version of AI technology called GANs, or generative adversarial networks. So GANs are basically a machine learning type of framework where we have two different neural networks. We have one that's a discriminator and one that's a generator. So these two neural networks are basically machine learning algorithms, and they keep competing with each other to try to get a good result. So just to explain what I mean, right? So how GANs work is first we have random input. For example, just like random noise, random pixels, and it doesn't really make sense. It's all these random pixels. And then the generator, in this case for an image, is trying to take all these random pixels and make something out of it, maybe like a hand, maybe a face. It's trying to make an image. So it's taking all these random pixels and trying to create or generate an image. And then it generates an output, whether it's a hand or whatever it's trying to generate, whatever it's trying to create as an image, it generates that output. And then once it's done that, the second neural network is in action. So that's called the discriminator. The discriminator is another neural network, and it's basically trying to discriminate or say, how is the generator doing when it comes to generating this output, this deep fake, this synthetic image? And then it tries to say, is this real or is this fake? So, for example, if I have an image of a hand, is it a hand with 5 fingers or is it a hand with 6 fingers, right? So it's trying to see, is this real or is this fake? And then it basically outputs that score and sends it to the generator. Like, for example, you got a 20%, better luck next time, try again. So then the generator would do the same thing. And it would keep going in rounds. And this is something an engineer could configure. And you keep doing this process until you get a good result. You could say it's like 80% success, 90% success, but definitely nothing below 80%, for example. So that's how GANs work. And this GAN technology is actually being used for deepfakes. So here's an image. If you see it on the slide, it's an image of a person, right? So my question to you is, do you think this is real or this is fake? So actually, this image is a fake image. It's from something called This Person Does Not Exist. So this person does not exist. If you see at the bottom, it's a website you could go to right now if you want. You just go to thispersondoesnotexist.com, and it generates fake images of people using GANs. So this person is not a real person at all. It's just a fake person, but he looks like a real person. So some giveaways for this image. There's the background doesn't really make sense, right? But the face itself is constructed very well. And the challenge with This Person Does Not Exist is in the past, before the executive order, you couldn't just you could just create these images without having this watermark here. So anyone in the world could create this image and use it for whatever they wanted. And it was unlimited. I could generate hundreds and thousands of images and no one would care. Like I could do this. And as you saw, I could easily crop out that watermark. So I could still use this image. And this is something that you might use, for example, in OSINT with sock puppets. If you want to create a fake sock puppet, right, a fake person to use for OSINT for investigating certain social media profiles, you could maybe make this person as the sock puppet that you're pretending to be, right, to use it for OSINT. So that's one application for this. And to actually generate these deep fakes, there are so many tools that exist. There are many, many tools out there. Most of these are for images and for videos, but we can use really any kind of deep fake and we can find a tool for it, right? So, for example, Deep Face Live, it face swaps your face with someone else's. There are some GitHub repositories that I found as well for SIM swap and for real-time voice cloning. So there are many different tools that exist. These tools I have on my slide, they're just open source tools that anyone can use, but companies are also coming up with their own deepfake generation tools as well. So now you might be wondering, how do we actually spot deepfakes? So from this image, can anyone see something that might be off about it? So hopefully you see some things don't really match up, right? So this hat, for example, this really seems off here. The background doesn't really make sense. But the face, he has the eyes, the nose, the mouth, but the background is kind of what gives it away that this person does not exist. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm saying, something seems off about this image. There's something that's just not right about it, like this hat. So when you're trying to determine whether a deep fake of an image exists or not, you try to visually look at it, right? So you could say, the eye contact isn't correct in some cases. Maybe the facial expressions are not correct. Like this smile maybe is not a normal smile. The hands might be off, right? The classic like 6 fingers instead of 5. Our voice is inconsistent. So in deepfake videos, you'll see that the voice is inconsistent. And later on, we'll see an example of that. Or with images, sometimes there could be shadows or reflections that don't really match. So for example, if he was looking in a mirror and it wasn't an exact reflection of him, maybe that's an indication of a deep fake, or maybe the shadows don't really line up to where they should be. So all of these strategies are what people are trying to do now with deepfake image detection, just visually. Now, of course, as the technology is getting more and more advanced, we can't really do this visually anymore. So we want to use tools to detect deepfakes now. So now, even though visually, this is a good example, I could see it was fake, but some of them are really good and not as easy to detect. So in that case, we want to use tools. So now let's look at an example. This example is a deepfake video of Morgan Freeman. So we'll see inconsistencies in eyes, facial expressions, and facial features. So now when I show you this video, just try to spot what you think is off.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real? Or is it simply the ability to feel? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality. Now, what do you see?
Okay, so that video was just from YouTube, and it's an example of a deepfake video.
I am not Morgan Freeman.
So just before I explain how you spot deepfakes, does anyone have any thoughts in the chat about what seemed off about that video? You might have seen the eyes were bulging and the voice was kind of monotone. But in this case, the video was a deepfake video because we saw visually, like his eyebrows were bulging up here, his eyes were bulging. Sometimes his neck movements weren't very natural. So there were some giveaways as far as why it was a deepfake. But if you actually try to detect and see, is this audio, the audio deepfake, it doesn't actually detect that it's an audio deepfake, and we'll look at that later. But in this case, you can detect that it is a video deepfake. But with the tools, there are so many of them that it's not just one method that you can use to spot these deepfakes. But here's how you would actually spot the deepfakes versus just visual input, right? So first, you want to verify your sources. So generally in these deepfake scenarios, what people are trying to do is they're trying to spur misinformation or disinformation. So for example, they might post something on social media, they might post something on a news outlet. And to detect these kinds of deepfakes, we want to look at multiple sources across different sites, right? So if, for example, I saw that Morgan Freeman video and I thought it was real, and I only saw it on one site, like X, which used to be Twitter, and I only saw it on X, but I didn't really see it anywhere else, then maybe that's indicative that it's a deep fake. So we want to look at multiple sources across different sites to see if different sites pick up the same thing. And even then, you could potentially run into a deep fake. So it's a matter of verifying the authenticity of the information and making sure that we can actually verify that, yes, okay, CNN reported it, BBC reported it, Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, it's like everywhere. So that's one way we can spot these deep fakes. And another way is actually using reverse image search, which is something we use in forensics to detect whether an image is legitimately from online. You could either use a tool called TinEye, or you could use Google reverse image search for this. So here's an example of TinEye. You just go to tineye.com. This is free, open source, and you can just upload or enter the image URL here, and it tells you whether the image appeared somewhere online or not. So for example, if you're on a app and someone posts a deepfake of a certain person, and then you try to upload that image and basically cross-reference to see if that person is anywhere else. So that's one way you could do it. So for example, with the image I showed you earlier, and I asked you in the beginning, is this real or is this fake? I uploaded it to TinEye, and then TinEye couldn't find it online. So it's showing you that there were 0 matches in this case because it couldn't find this image anywhere online. So that's one tool that you could use to try to verify the authenticity of this image. And this would help you determine that it is a fake image. And now we can even extend this for deepfake videos. So this is a free open source tool from Deepware called Deepware Scanner. So you can go to Deepware Scanner and it scans and detects deepfake videos. Out of all the research that I've done, I've found that Deepware Scanner was the best tool from my research that I found. So it's free to use. You can just place a video link or upload a video like it says, and then it tells you whether it's a deepfake video or not. So let's say I'm just putting in the Morgan Freeman video I showed you earlier, and I put this into the Deepware Scanner. Then Deepware Scanner says that yes, a deepfake was detected. So in this case, this meter tells me the likelihood of whether this is a deep fake or not. Here you notice that it's green, which is concerning, but green means that it's a low likelihood that it is a deep fake. And then red would mean it's very, very confident that it's a deep fake. In this case, the Deepware Scanner not only uses the AI and machine learning to detect deepfakes, but they also use analysts. So in this case, they detected a deepfake because a person was able to see, yes, this is a deepfake. An analyst was able to see that. So whenever we're doing deepfake detection, you can't just use one tool, right? When you use AI, it's not just you use AI and forget about it. You need to use people in addition to AI. You can't just trust AI and everything will work out. So that's one example of this. And so now this brings me to the next kind of deepfake that we're going to talk about. So actually, a lot of people, if you talk about deepfakes, they're only going to talk about images and video. Typically, that's what people are presenting about. But actually, another kind of deepfake that unfortunately there's not much research on is deepfake audio. And we're coming across deepfake audio a lot more now with the elections, people doing deepfake audio for politicians, for example. So actually, this is even more challenging to detect because we don't have the visual cues like we did with the Morgan Freeman video. We only have to rely on the voice. And this is very easy to generate because according to researchers, you only need 10 to 20 seconds, less than 30 seconds of audio of someone to create a deepfake. So this is not just something one high-profile person could be a victim to. This is something everyone could potentially be a victim to because a lot of us are online and you only need 10 to 20 seconds to create this deepfake audio. So researchers have found that this deepfake audio, it's like a drinking straw, which means that whenever we listen to this deepfake audio, it's not going to sound like a person. it's going to sound like a drinking straw or something that's not consistent with our vocal cords. In this case, the deepfake audio could have inconsistent acoustics, irregular pauses or breathing. Something seems different compared to what a person might say. But as I mentioned, it's really difficult to detect this deepfake audio compared to images and video because we're only relying on what we can listen to, which is the audio. So one trick that you could use to detect deepfake audio is maybe someone's trying to use deepfake audio to carry out a social engineering attack. So one key way you could carry out a social engineering attack is looking at the urgency of something, right? So for example, someone saying that they're from the IRS and they need your social security number right now. Otherwise, you're going to be fined $1 million, something like that. So that's an example of urgency. And to actually detect deepfake audio, there's a detection tool that I found. It's called Deepfake Total. And this is just a free open source tool that was developed by the academic departments in Germany. So this will basically tell you whether an audio sample is a deepfake or not. So here you can use Twitter, X, YouTube, or you can even upload your own files and it detects for you that, yes, this is a deepfake or no, it's not. So here's an example, just as a disclaimer before I play this audio. This is a popular meme, but I want to just put a disclaimer out there that this might contain offensive language, and this does not reflect any political opinions of me or anyone else. This is just an example to show you what deepfake audio looks like. Okay, so we're going to now listen to this deepfake audio so you get an idea.
All right, we are 100% doing golf next.
I can agree to that.
Golf is fun, but the 9-hole takes too long.
Oh, what, Joe, are you going to fall asleep or something?
Now, Joe's right. Let's do one of the 3-hole games.
Fine, but it better be expert because that's exactly what I am.
Okay, keep talking to yourself, Don.
The 7th hole in this game is honestly pretty simple. I don't get why it's in the expert levels.
Right, it's my turn first.
Let's see where that one goes.
Wow, not actually that bad. That's what you must have been doing on those vacations in Hawaii instead of being president.
Says the one who literally has his own damn golf club.
And that's exactly why I'll be winning this game here, unlike you. All right, let me get a few practice swings in here.
Oh, God.
Holy shit, Donald, just hit the damn ball.
Give me a second. This is a game of patience, Brock.
This is a fucking Wii game.
For future reference, don't talk during my swing. I'll let it slide this time.
Alrighty then.
Even with Brock's distraction, I still got it farther. Let's go.
I think I'm going to go for the shortcut.
I wouldn't advise that, Joe. The wind isn't in your favor, just like your approval rating.
Hey, Don, remember when I beat you?
Piss off.
As they say, you only live life once. Come on.
Definitely hitting a tree.
Dang it.
Called it.
I'll get it this next time. Just watch. Shit!
Just give it up, Joe.
One more try. Oh, fuck this. That's fine, I guess.
Well, folks, it looks like Joe won't be winning twice in a row, just like he won't be winning 2 terms.
Neither did you, dipshit.
Just you wait until 2024.
Ron's got a higher chance of winning than you, Don.
Screw that guy. Damn it, I overshot.
Could have been worse.
Joe really still hitting the tree.
Screw you, Donald. I'd rather undershoot it than overshoot it.
Yeah, and I'd rather be on stroke 3 than stroke 9. All right, we are 100% doing.
Okay, so that was just an example of deepfake audio. If you want to watch the entire video, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. So just if we look at the video, we'll see the video was legitimate. It was just people playing Wii Sports. So that was not a deepfake video, but it was a deepfake audio. So if we put that into deepfake total, if you see on the bottom of my slide, you'll see it has a 96.4% confidence that yes, this is a deepfake audio sample. And it analyzed, the first 90 seconds. So you didn't need to listen to all of it to determine that yes, this was a deepfake. before I provide my observations, are there any observations any of you have related to this video? Like, what gave it away that it's a deepfake audio sample? The voices kind of repeated the same phrases multiple times. People are saying the sound was off for the deepfake. Okay, so the voices didn't sound natural, right? But you could hear the video correctly. The sound was off in the sense, right? So the video didn't really make sense in terms of the sound, didn't sound natural, like how someone would talk. I noticed some of the responses were very abrupt. You know, they ended very quickly. They were also repeating the same phrases. Some of the voices almost sounded robotic, especially with President Biden. I noticed some of the comments he was saying were kind of robotic. They didn't sound natural. Some of the words were being slurred. So earlier I showed you the Deepware scanner tool for deepfake videos. And with deepfake videos, the thing is that you can use Deepware scanner to do this. But then if you show Deepware scanner this US presidents play Wii Sports Golf audio sample, it can't detect that it's a deepfake. So with these tools, you need to use multiple solutions to actually detect these deepfake samples. One might be really good at audio, one might be really good at video, and there are so many different tools out there. So you can't just rely on one tool for this. You need to look at multiple tools. So if I was to send the Morgan Freeman video, earlier I mentioned, you know, the audio is not actually detected as a deepfake, but the video is. So if I just provided the video to this deepfake total tool used to detect deepfake audio, the tool actually will not detect that it is deepfake audio. The reason we know it's a deepfake is because of the visual component of it, not really the audio component of it. So that's really the challenge with deepfakes, is that it's so easy for people to create now. Like, I could just create one in 10 minutes, and without any skill set, I could create one right now just using freely available online tools. So that's the thing with deepfakes, is that we see so many people just flooding the internet with all these deepfakes that it's not just one deepfake we need to be worried about. It's so much out there is deepfaked and fake news, right? So that's the challenge with all this deepfake technology now. So here with this deepfake audio, it says that, you know, it's likely an example with 96.4 confidence, but this one was able to detect this particular audio sample. But if you try to look at different audio samples or different examples, it might not always have such a very high confidence, because the technology is getting so much more sophisticated. And with all these tools, they're using AI and machine learning to detect this. And AI and machine learning can make mistakes, right? So the way AI works is it's basically learning from the data that it's trained on. And then from that data, it tells you, like, okay, I know that this is a dog, or this is a cat, or this is deepfake audio, or this is deepfake video, because of these things I learned about. But it might not have been trained on all possible scenarios. So that's why AI can sometimes fail. And everyone has their own algorithm, so there's not just one algorithm that can find everything. So now this brings me to kind of the last portion of my presentation, which is the mitigation strategies. So in terms of mitigation, there's a lot of activity now happening with the industry and with legislation. So in the private sector, they're talking about the tech accord. They want to add watermarking, like I showed you with this person does not exist, and provenance to detect deepfakes. So that means I want to detect where the deepfake originated from, how was it created, kind of step through the different steps of how it was created and how it came to be, to hopefully detect these deepfakes. And of course, public awareness, not only in our field in cybersecurity, but just everyone in the world, they should know that these deepfakes are out there. And then in terms of global legislation, in the US, we don't really have a federal law for deepfakes. It's really state by state basis right now. So in Tennessee, they have the Elvis Act, which is trying to ensure the likeness of the voice and image security act for artists. That basically means someone like Taylor Swift or someone like an artist could be protected if someone creates a deep fake for them. For example, with the Tom Hanks video, Tom Hanks could maybe use the Elvis Act to say that my likeness and voice was used without my consent to create this deep fake. And that was something they just passed in March of this year. And then in the US, the challenge is we don't have that federal law. Like in the EU, they have the GDPR for privacy, and they have EU AI Act. So in the EU, they have a consensus as far as this is AI safety, this is what we want to do. But in the US, it's very fragmented right now. It's like states are doing one thing and then another thing and then another thing. So it really depends right now in the US which state you're in as far as what protections you have. In the EU, the one reference I found was the Code of Practice on Disinformation finds up to 6% of the global revenue for those who use deepfakes for disinformation. So for example, when you use YouTube now, if you are creating YouTube videos and you have to, before you upload it and share it with everyone, you have to actually mark like, yes, I testify that this is synthetic content or this is AI generated content, and you actually have to check that mark. So if I were to upload this talk, I would have to check like, yes, this contains a deep fake. And that's something they're using to try to enforce this EU law. So now, because a lot of these companies are global, they're using laws from the EU, for example, to say like, okay, now we need to make sure deepfakes are not an issue, or we need to create some mitigation strategy for that. And then in the UK, they have some funded research and awareness campaigns, and they're trying to address deepfake harms in the future. But there's no concrete law yet from the UK about that. But the EU, I would say, has the most laws around this right now. But that was all like what the industry is doing, what lawmakers are doing, but what is something all of us can do? So for mitigation strategies for everyone, first thing is what I mentioned, you could verify sources. So try looking for the same information in multiple places. So for example, it was posted on YouTube, X, CNN, BBC, Instagram, etc. So I know that, okay, it could be authentic. And deepfakes are focused on misinformation and disinformation generally. It's trying to trick the public. This is something that's carried out not only by nation states to influence countries, but it's also used by just general script kiddies as well. They can use these tools to create deepfakes. And generally, these deepfakes are trying to target the general public for a social engineering attack, like you need to give me money right now or give me your identifying information right now. Like that's something someone would say. Or nation states are doing it to disrupt other nations. It's also targeting influencers, right? Like Taylor Swift, Donald Trump, Biden, Kamala Harris, Elon Musk, just mentioning a few people that have been targeted by these deepfake technologies, right? So it's something that we need to keep in mind. Like if we see a high profile person doing this, or if we hear something like you need to give money right now, then that's also something we need to keep in mind. And this is something, it could be as innocent as someone's kid calling their parent, like, I'm stuck at the airport, please give me money. It's not something you might think about right away as being a deep fake. because now this voice cloning technology is getting so much more sophisticated. So, for example, there are stories about teenagers, their voice is being cloned, and then the parents pick up that phone call or the WhatsApp call, and they hear that person's voice, and the kid is saying, you know, I'm in danger. I'm stuck at the airport. Please, I need money right now. Please wire money to me. So it's something that we're seeing everyone is being taken advantage of. Everyone is a target for these deepfakes. It's not just one person. So, of course, deepfakes are used for social engineering attacks. So, definitely look for urgency or inconsistencies, right? Like with phishing emails, we know that there might be inconsistencies with spelling or grammar, but AI is making it easier now to create better phishing emails. But there might be some other inconsistencies, like what I showed you, the eyes, the hand, the shadows, reflections. So, that's something you could use to detect these kinds of deepfakes. And what's important to note is that this technology is getting more and more advanced. So try using tools to detect it versus relying on what you see, because you might be able to see some things, but you won't be able to see all of the strategies that they use to create a deepfake. So that concludes my presentation. I'm an international speaker, so I give a lot of these talks regularly. So please scan the QR code to go to my LinkedIn, or you could find me on LinkedIn. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact me via email as well. So thank you so much.